Hello again. So while we wait to pick up the hulls for the trimaran project, I thought I would jump in and do another little one. It'll be a nice little warm up for the trimaran, and that is to refit this, which is international 1 metre yacht, radio controlled. I started radio controlled yacht racing back in the spring, and I picked this up quite recently. It had a few issues with it that I wasn't happy about, so one thing led to another, and I've ended up stripping everything back off it, and we're going to give it a full refit. So this video we're going to start to look at a few of the bits that I want to do to it, and the first is the structure that goes in the front of the boat. So with that said, let's dive right in. It's quite an old boat, this. I don't know how old, probably 10 years old, maybe more. Yeah, maybe more like 15 years old. I picked it up. I have already done some work on it. It was bright red. I'll throw in a few pictures to show you, but the paint was looking a bit tired, so I have repaint it and give it a fresh look, and along with doing that, we are going to do a few tweaks to it, tidy a few bits up on the inside, make sure there are no water leaks and stuff like that. The rudder stock needed replacing. It only comes up halfway, so potential for a lot of leakages in there, and it was flopping around all over the place, so I wasn't happy with that. So that was the main thing that I wanted to change, and redo, so that make the rudder stock come all the way through the deck, and then have the linkage going back down and in. So that was my number one thing to do. However, that has led on to refurbing the whole thing, so that was that. The tubes for the lines to go through, they needed to be redone because they were cracking and would have leaked like a sieve. And then there's a few bits inside that I wanted to do, and I'm going to work on. You'll see in there is a small bit of wire that was connected through to the deck mounts here by a small piece of aluminium, which sat underneath the deck, and then had the stays for the jib going down to. It was pretty crude. There's literally a bit of coat hanger almost going down the front there, and it's a bit fiddly to get the nuts on and off, and half of the nuts were left floating around in the bottom of the boat. So I thought, what the hell, let's redo it. You can see down there, there's a bit of lead in there, so I'm not worried if we add a tiny bit of weight, because I can just cut some of the lead off and reduce that. Let's say I've cleaned the hull, sanded it all back very carefully, and we will respray the hull. I've managed to get the shooting post free and moving, so that is now adjustable, so that's cool. And then we're gonna, as I say, change the rigging a little bit. We're gonna have the lines coming down this side to a pulley here, where another chap, very good racer, has given me some very sound advice and lots of help. So I'm gonna redo all my rigging and change the blocks and the sheeting lines to what he suggested, and go from there. Okay, so I'm not quite too sure what it's called, but basically in the front of the boat, the part which holds the tack down on the foredeck has an internal structure, and at the moment it's pretty crude. It's a little piece of aluminium which the three eyes screw down, and with a nut and bolt on the back, screw down, and then it's got some, as I say, pretty crude metal wire running in a V down to the base of the hull. So I want to replace that with composite, a single piece that is nice and easy for me to put the eyes in, so I can tap the eyes into the holes, not have to worry about nuts and bolts, won't come out, won't rust, won't fall apart, won't need to be serviced or anything like that. So gonna basically lay up a sheet of fiberglass with a 90-degree angle on it, which will then have the some G10 reinforcing it, and then I'm not too sure what I'm going to do at the bottom. Probably just a fillet of resin and microfibers, just to bond it in, and then I can trim it to length. But yeah, that is the plan. I've got some G10, got some nice thick, I don't know what, like 5mm G10. So I'm going to cut a strip of that, use that to mount the eyes in, tap that out, and then, as I say, lay up some fiberglass, bag it, maybe bag it, I don't know if I can be bothered, and yeah, that's the plan. Let's get on with it. It's the first stage. What I'm going to do, I've got some nice thick G10 here. I think it's probably what, like 5mm, 4mm, something like that. I'm going to cut a strip off, and then I'm going to use that to drill some holes to replace the aluminium, and then I can tap into that, and then the screw eyes can go straight into that, so there's not going to be any need for nuts and bolts and fiddly bits like that. Okay, so I have now cut myself the piece of G10, tidied up the edges, and we're going to look at now some sort of former mould to laminate this and the fiberglass onto. So the next step, I found myself a piece of melamine here. Melamine? Yeah, melamine. And I have stuck a piece of aluminium angle on there, and then we can use the glass we're going to lay into there and up the angle. Probably might have to bag it, and then that will basically be it. I can trim it to length once it's cured, and then bond it into the boat. Simple as. So that's the next step. Okay, so quick change of plan, and this is where my OCD gets a little carried away, and where I always end up over engineering things. But anyway, we've got our mould here. Let me explain. We've got our mould here. I've just run a little fillet along the corner here in wax, just to help the fiberglass bend up that corner. So we're going to lay it in here and then up here and then bag it down, so it creates our angle, and then I can bond the G10 to that, and then bond that into the boat. So that is the plan. However, this is, as I say, where I over engineer it and over complicate it, but what the hell. So that would mean that the center sort of spine that's running up to this will be slightly offset to one side, and it would kind of be nicer if it was running right down the center, right where the bolts are screwing down. It would keep my sanity a little bit happier. So quick plan. I've got a couple of bits of old scrap perspex that were kicking around. I have chamfered them at 45 degrees. I'm going to super glue these together, stick them to my baseboard, and then I'm going to laminate on top of that. Run the fiberglass along there, down, back up, and then once that's cured, take it out take it off the form, I am then going to bond that so it is perfectly in the centre of my fiberglass. There we go. That is the plan. I am going to set the camera up and make a start.
Along with hopefully some work on the tram, maybe building up slightly more competitive 1 metre yacht. I'm thinking of them, so I think we're going to do something like that. And then laminate down, round, up, bond, job is good. So next step, do that to that. I've waxed this, so I'm going to key it up. Yeah? Yeah. Doesn't have to be crazy, does it? I just want to stop it from sliding around and back it down. So that can go there as a little guide, that can go up to there, and should be sweet. This is just dirty engineering. I promise you I do normally take a bit more care, but just want to get it done. You want to get it done and in the water. So
I've got myself some glass. It is 200 gram leftover offcuts from surfboards, so I know it's good glass, just standard E-glass. I'm going to cut myself three layers. I mean, the strength really is minimal. Might even just go 2. No. 3. Let's over engineer it as always. But a second, sorry. So 3 layers. Right, so I'm back. I've got my epoxy here mixed up. All nearly mixed. We will wet out the pieces, get it in the bag. Should only take a couple of minutes.
dirty engineering, we shall call it. Just make sure I've got enough resin down in that trough. I have a feeling I'm already going to get issues. I don't think I've sealed underneath that edge quite enough. So I expect the plastic will be a pain in the ass to release. Never mind, we can't do it again. It doesn't work. Yeah, be positive, be positive. It'll release, hopefully. There's there. Get that nice as possible. Yeah. I guess I just rushed this a bit too much, but my guess is, I'm pretty sure I'll be right, because it's on a vacuum bag, this. It's probably going to suck underneath, some of the resin underneath the plastic that I've put down. And in turn, going to make it a bit of a pain to do the bag, but pretty sure we'll get something usable out of this. So let's first go down. Not that this has cost me anything other than, what, I mixed up 20 grams of epoxy. So more than about a quid. Nice and warm this evening, so this should be cured in about 2 hours. And I'll do it tomorrow. Got loads of stuff going on this weekend. Out tomorrow at the British Motor Show, I think, is the plan. Going to meet a guy out there about the radio control car club I run and help him do some stuff there, so that should be interesting. And Sunday, a bit more of this, hopefully, and try and get on the water. So, just about there. That's 3 layers laminated, 200 grams a layer, 600 grams in total. I think that is going to be plenty for what we need it for. I think 2 layers probably would have been okay. It is only a model weight after all. So yeah. It's laminated. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of extra resin on there, and then throw steel pan. Make sure there's plenty of resin in there. There we go, steel pan. DIY perforated plastic. Can be cheap, but I like to recycle things. It's just dust sheet run over with a spiked roller. But in the past did work really well, so why change? Breather, go on there. I might just run a bit of water tape up in that. Stick it in place. Cool. Get the bag on. That's right. These are tape, not using proper materials, but I'm pretty sure I do this job with this and it gets it used up and gets it gone and it doesn't really. So I'll go with that. Make sure that plenty of material in that corner. It'll be fine. Probably. Okay. It'll be alright. Be positive, Charlie. Be positive. I know what I'm doing. Not. There we go. We're in there.
Okay, so it is the following day and we are going to see what we have got. There we go, that comes up easy. Breather. Right, now this is going to be the interesting part. Let's see if the fill pipe comes off. There we go. Fill flight, that came off. Aluminium's come off. There's the part going to come out. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is exactly what we wanted. That's exactly what we wanted. Fill it all clean off. See the profile. Oh, if I hold it right in the camera, there we go. See the profile. And then what we're going to do, bond that into there. So it sits in the centre. Might take a tiny bit of grinding. There we go. Just as okay, so all going well. I have cleaned that up just a little bit there, just removed a tiny bit of the excess resin that had trapped itself in there. I've also taken my G10 and just chamfered that edge just a hair, just so it now fits in that trough nice and snugly. Okay, so I've then taken the depths that I measured from the deck to the bottom of the hull down the centre line and replicated those there. Next step, cut this out. It's very thin, so I can probably just use some snips. Cut it out, bond that in, and then test fit in the boat.
I'm going to cut this a little oversized. Can't get it once you cut it. Okay. This side looks alright. So, we can do the grind action. Let's do that.
Okay, so we have got a nice small amount of epoxy mixed up here. I've also mixed in some microfibers with it, so it will give us a little extra strength in this fillet. And I'm going to simply, I suppose I should give that just a little bit of a key on the smooth sides. In case we do any bonding directly to that, probably won't. And then, yeah, we'll just go ahead and put it.
When I'm bonding something, I always like to take both surfaces, and then you know that you're sticking wet to wet. Put that in. Making sure I got that centered on, because that's what this whole thing is about. And pretty good. And put a tiny bit more epoxy down this edge. So obviously once this is cured, I'll trim this extra part of flange off because it's not needed. I'm going to put a small fillet down in this corner here. Actually, you know what? I might put a big fillet and then file it out. Make it nice and pretty.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good. So let that cure up, come back and hopefully get it installed. Okay, so following morning, I have well, the piece of G10 is bonded in, and I've just popped in a couple of pilot holes so that I can then line that up on the front of the boat once it's in there. Probably pop some little screws in just to hold it in place while I bond top and bottom in. Test fitting it. It fits in nice and snugly in the right place, so very happy with that. It's not going to take any more work. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I won't be able to film bonding it in very easily because it's hidden so far inside the boat. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that. I will come back once it's bonded in. So there we have it. We're bonded in at the top. We have bonded in down there with a nice little fillet either side. And that is complete. For that, anyway. That was a fun little project. So there we have it. Project complete on that at least. I've got to tap out the holes on the top there, but that can be done once the boat's painted. But yeah, moving on to the next thing. So there we have it. That project is now complete. So we're going to be moving on. Next step is going to be tackling that rudder stock, getting it to go right the way through the boat, so it's supported both top and bottom to stop it wobbling around. But that means sorting out a new rudder linkage. So a little bit of figuring out to do, and then we can get on with that. After that, sorting out the rigging lines and moving the blocks around, but that shouldn't take too long at all. And then there's one other project which is kind of floating around my brains, and that's building a nice rig box. However, going a slightly different route to the standard sort of wood plywood approach, and doing an all composite molded version. Very over engineered, completely unnecessary, but I kind of want to do it. Kind of feel like it could be quite good fun. So you can let me know if I should or I shouldn't. But yeah, it's moving on nicely, so stay tuned.